In this lesson, you will learn how to include the Google Maps JavaScript API in your code, and learn about the parameters that allow you to set the version, your unique API key, and any optional API libraries. To start using the Google Maps JavaScript API, you will need to include it in your HTML file using a script tag. The URL takes three parameters: your API key, specified by the keyword key, the version, specified by v, and the optional libraries you want to include, specified by the keyword library. None of these parameters are required, but the version and the API key are recommended before deploying to production. If you're not using any of the optional libraries, then the library tag does not need to be included. For the purposes of this course, we will be including the API key and the version. In this example, you will need to replace the API key with your unique key attained from the previous lesson. You can specify the API version by setting the v parameter in the URL. When specifying the version number, you can specify a specific version, use the latest stable release, or use the experimental channel. If the version is not specified, then the experimental release will be the default version. Using a specific version number allows you to test against a specific release and only update after you have performed regression testing. The downside is you will not receive automatic updates and features, as Google promotes them to the stable release. When using the stable version, you will receive updates as Google promotes builds to the stable release channel. By using the stable release, you can take advantage of automatic updates for new features and bug fixes as they get updated. We will be using the stable version in the examples in this course. The experimental version includes the latest features and enhancements, but might not be as stable and thoroughly tested. Unless you're using some of the experimental features, my recommendation would be to use the latest stable release or use a fixed release number, and then test periodically against the experimental release. There are a couple of useful and optional libraries that can be included when retrieving the JavaScript API file. We will not be using these libraries during the course of these lessons, but I wanted to give you a brief overview of the libraries that are available. You can include single or multiple libraries by including the optional library URL parameter when retrieving the API. Including multiple libraries is accomplished by using a comma-separated list of the library names. Let's take a look at the available libraries. The AdSense library allows you to monetize your application by displaying advertisements on the map. Ads will be linked to your AdSense account, and the ad content will be served based on the areas your users are viewing on the map. Using this library allows for an additional revenue stream for your site. The drawing library provides a set of tools for allowing users to interactively place markers and shapes, including lines, circles, polygons, and squares. Some examples of this library in use include allowing users to place markers indicating points of interest, performing searches based on shape bounds, or drawing routes towards their destination on the map. This library promotes user engagement that helps draw people into your site. The geometry library provides a set of methods for computing distances, areas, and angles from latitudes and longitudes. These methods are useful if you want to display distance measurements between points or compute the area of a polygon. The library also provides encoding methods for compressing and decompressing polygon paths using the encoded polygon algorithm. The encoded polygons store the latitude and longitude coordinates and the maximum zoom levels to display the points. These methods are useful for efficiently storing and transmitting large sets of data. The Places library enables you to search for establishments, locations, or prominent points of interest in the Google database. You can search for places based on a defined area, within the current bounds of the map view, or relative to a fixed point. The library search functions will return an array of places with details about each place. You can then use this information to place a marker on the map and show that particular location. This library is useful for integrating searches for places such as restaurants and businesses onto your map. The Visualization library provides classes returning your data into visualizations, such as a heat map. This library is useful if you want to take point data and use a heat map to display weighted intensity instead of just markers on the map. In this lesson, you learned how to include the Google Maps API, add your API key, specify a version, and include the AdSense, geometry, drawing, places, and visualization libraries.